Good afternoon and welcome to the Emerging Tech series of the Leadership and Insurance podcast. I'm your host, Gavin Savage. This is the podcast where we speak with technology executives, founders and leaders from the world of insurance and Insuretech. I'm very lucky to be joined today by Al Robertson, CTO of ICE Insuretech. Al, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks, Gavin. Yeah, pleased to be here and looking forward to it.
Yes, thank you. It's great to have you on. And as we always do at the start of these podcasts, I think it's just great for you to probably give us a little bit of a background. You personally kind of pivoted from working in an insurance-based company to a product tech company to then founder, which I think is just super valuable for our listeners. Would you mind giving us a brief introduction to your career in tech and insurance, please?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So I started off having been a computer science grad from Bristol. I was lucky enough to work for John Lewis and join their graduate program, which was a really interesting 3 years in mainframe development. And then I got my first insurance job working for Royal & Sun Alliance. Was there for 4 years, again, in the mainframe world. But again, picked up a load of valuable stuff, and that's been it's been insurance ever since. I did a few years at a company called the Innovation Group, which is moving, like you said, from an insurance company and a huge insurance company like RSA to a product company. But then the thing that is really interesting, I guess, is when I went to ICE, which was back in 2004. So I met actually our CEO, Andrew, at the Innovation Group, and he invited me to come and join ICE, or IT Freedom as it was back then, and build a claims platform. So it was a real startup mentality, product company. Just really exciting times. There were two of us at the beginning. I was the founding architect, two of us developers, I should say, and people on the team. And we had sort of a 9-month period, exciting times to deliver our first release for the client. And I really worked on that for 10 years, building up the claims platform, getting more clients. And then we were asked by one of them to build a policy admin platform. So it's probably about 10 years ago now. And that has taken up my focus ever since, really working on the policy admin platform. I think the one notable event is we got acquired about 6 years ago, the end of 2017, by Actress, which probably a lot of the listeners will know is a big London-based broker software house. We got acquired by them 6 years ago. And since then, we've just been going through a massive period of growth, I think, and an acceleration, going from 40 people to 120 people. And that's been really the most interesting part of the journey so far, I think.
Nice, amazing, thank you. Lots to unpack. We'll definitely do that over the course of this kind of episode, but I think probably makes sense after that to, I guess, do a brief introduction on who are ICE Insuretech, and what the mission has been since founding the company, or co-founding the company from the very beginning, and how it's evolved.
Yeah, so ICE Insuretech. So we're obviously a software provider for the insurance industry. 3 main products of policy admin, claims, and analytics, and we're predominantly serving the MGA insurer space and third-party administrators in the claim space as well. We have highly configurable low-code, no-code products. I think we're most famous for being in the space of your high-volume motor, home, price comparison website type products. I'm sure we'll talk about a bit more on the tech side of it, but yeah, that's ICE in a minute, I would say.
Nice, good elevator pitch. And how kind of going back to your introduction about the journey that you personally have been on, that transition from coming from the traditional side of insurance into founding a tech company and insurance, what's been the main takeaways and the main differences, lessons that you would say you've learned over the last, well, I was going to say 5 years, but probably longer.
Yeah, definitely longer, and it's been a long time since I was at RSA, but I was a lot more junior then. The key things I've learned, because we're a tech company and we're servicing the insurance industry, we need a really good mix of highly skilled tech people and a lot of insurance domain knowledge. And so, one of my key jobs is to surround myself with excellent technical resources, and those people, all of the senior people, generally have got a background in insurance and tech as well. So I think that's something that's been key to our success. We need to be able to deliver good technical solutions, and we need to be able to understand the business well and understand how businesses can vary sort of significantly, and be able to deliver a product that can be configured to handle all those variances, which is key. Part of the last 5 years, I think a key thing for us, as I've already mentioned, is growth. And being able to scale has been a big part of my focus, moving from maybe a more classic project-based focus to a real product company where we are having 5, 6, 7 clients taking a release every 3 or 4 months, rather than maybe working on a project for 6 months and that was it. And that's just the nature of going from 4 or 5 clients to 20, 25 clients. You're going to need to really focus on being product centric. Another thing is, in that, big takeaway I've learned is don't boil the ocean. Everyone says it, but a key thing is to try and understand where you want to get to, and map a road map out where you can make incremental changes that actually deliver some benefit and move you on in the direction that you want to go. Because trying to take 2 years out to get to where you want to get to is just too painful. Doesn't work at all. So that's been massive. And the other thing, me personally, in the last 5 years, we get great support from our parent company. Obviously have a regular meeting with the 2 founders of Actress, and they provide significant insight into the commercial operation. So for me, being in the senior leadership team as well, I am like obviously focused on the tech and the product, but have to keep a good eye on the commercial running of the company. I've sort of enjoyed that extra part of the job as well.
Yeah, and you never hand over the reins fully technically as a CTO, as you say. You've got to have your foot in both camps, but as you say, very much enjoyed that new part. And I can, again, focusing on the journey, started as founding architects with almost, from my understanding from recent conversations, almost zero funding in the beginning. Going through the motions from a startup to scale up to being acquired, as you touched on, going from 40 to 120, And I wanted to kind of, I know the listeners just love hearing about, of course, the highs, the successes, but I wanted you to kind of give us maybe the highlight reel, going from, as you say, very project-based through to, from project-based delivery through to product-based. Like, what have been the highs and the lows, throughout that for you?
the highs and the lows. Well, as you said, it is interesting, and I think we're probably unusual from everything that you hear in the press. We were a privately funded company at the beginning by the founders, and then eventually some staff invested as well. But we never had any external investment, and therefore it was always key to try and grow the business by balancing the investment in the product, bringing clients on a journey with you, knowing that you're not going to be able to deliver an all singing, all dancing product on day one when you're funding it essentially yourself with some early sponsors. So yeah, maybe that goes back to the don't even try and boil the ocean aspect of it. In terms of highs and lows, a high for us was definitely that acquisition. When you look at our commercial performance, we actually had 3 deals that were lined up, but would only happen if the acquisition went through, and from that point onwards, that was a pivot for us as a company, because Actress, last year we were turning over 120 million sterling, sort of. So it was a financially secure company rather than coming from a small company with 30, 40 people with a poor balance sheet, and that was always a real sort of tough sell to get your bigger clients, to get through procurement. We always used to say, actually, we were loved by the business, tolerated by IT, because we basically take them out of it because the business loved us, but hated by procurement. And that was a really interesting part of being a startup, because trying to persuade someone that you're still going to be around in 3 years' time is that chicken and egg. It's like, well, if we sign you as a client, we've got a lot better chance of being around in 3 years' time. And so, there was a lot of pressure on sales when we were younger, and obviously the product is less mature these days. Sales is a lot harder, and with our client list now, it definitely becomes a lot easier to sell, and less issues with procurement. We don't have that anymore. So that's been a big change. Yeah, lows is an interesting one. It's always like the interview question of what's your worst quality.
It's a trick question.
Lows, yeah, I guess it's one of the things. It's not really lows. One of the things that we've maybe struggled with is keeping some of our talent. And really relevant, considering you guys are in recruitment. It's difficult. We now have a policy of hiring a lot of grads, and trying to keep those grads is really important for us. We actually don't struggle to keep the senior team, that luckily, touch wood, we've done very well on that front. But it's a natural thing. I did it 3 years on your first graduate position, and then what else is there in the world? We're not based in central London as well, and a lot of the younger people have maybe wanted to go into London and experience something different. So even though they're very, very valuable to us, it's hard to keep them. And then we obviously had that position of sort of 18 months ago where there was hugely inflated pay for good technical people, and I think we trained people well, and we just couldn't compete in the salary front. So that's been a bit of a low over the last 3 or 4 years to lose people, but I feel like we're in a better position now, and the market is a bit more realistic. I'm sure you can testify to that.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. Retaining talent, particularly from the graduate side of things, is always the challenge. Bringing someone in senior where they've got accountability, a lot of ownership, it's easier to keep those guys motivated. But the younger generation, they're always looking, is the grass greener? And I think there's a couple of things that you touched on, which we'll definitely come back to. But is the market realistic at the moment? I don't know. I don't know that it is. I don't think we've got back to the realistic level just yet. But slowly but surely, I think.
Yeah, I
And
definitely think we're in a better place than we were
then last year, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing anyway. I'm sure you'll have far more data than we will to debate it on.
Yeah, no, the last year and the year before were certainly very interesting years. I mean, probably the peak in terms of those that were looking for new jobs in software engineering and technology as a whole. But I think you're right. We're slowly but surely we're getting there again. Brings me perfectly on to the next point around the tech. But now you guys are, almost 20 years in existence. Very complex, highly configurable platform, but you're now fully cloud native. Everything's containerized, runs on Kubernetes variants,
Yeah,
either on-prem or on cloud infrastructure. You've really evolved the products and the value chain, and I guess I wanted you to maybe expand a bit on that, what that means, particularly from, yes, a cloud native perspective, but also operationally for you and your clients.
yeah, that was again, actually it was about the same time, not related, but to the acquisition, but it was 2017. We've been cloud natives, and that's the Cloud Native Computing Foundation sort of view of cloud native. So that's containerized, API driven, microservices, or sort of service orientated where possible, and big investment in DevOps. Those are the four sort of key tenets of being cloud native, and we've been that for quite some time. And it's great to have that experience. We run probably 120, 130 environments. And they're all managed, all apart from sort of one client that's still on premise, and it's all virtual machine based deployments and installs that we do, but everything else is running in Ice Cloud. So we've got a fully managed number of clusters that we have, that our ops team run. It's as I said, we run a Kubernetes variant, so we're running sort of OpenShift. Everything is containerized. It's amazing, standing on the shoulders of giants, of the people who've delivered this capability to the world, to run a sort of a highly available operation. Huge amounts of metrics, telemetry involved in the platform, because it's every environment has got sort of 10 to 30 architectural components, containers running, and being able to understand what's distributed tracing, what's going on between all of these components, seeing all of the data, running the platform at scale, having digital platform price comparison website, million plus quotes running through each instance for clients. It's been great to evolve the platform and the architecture to have a highly available to operation that is pretty leading tech. So, and again, that's something that's been key to us, not just the coding, but the operation, and having that DevOps mentality of having the high skilled developers involved in the operation. Not just the deployment, but having everything audited, and I have to go back to the highly available aspect of it, the ability to debug easily when things go wrong. It allows us to move at pace that we wouldn't have been able to before. So from a tech perspective, I love talking about those bits of it, because I'm still sort of like, from a nerdy perspective, just really proud of what we've done. We're not the most massive team, and we did this when we were sort of 40 to 50 people, and we've obviously expanded, and it's got more and more complex. But yeah, it's amazing what you can do with the tools that are provided these days in the sort of the cloud native communities.
And then the niche area that you focus on, within, I'm pretty sure it's fairly niche. I know you focus on quite a wide, but it seems like quite wide but deep across that P&C line. Like, how does your technology, when you're cutting through the noise and you're explaining how this technology can benefit, for example, an incumbent within insurance that's maybe looking to modernize and digitize their infrastructure from legacy tech to the latest and greatest tech? Like, how does the technology that you guys have built up over the years and integrated complement the niche areas that you guys hone in on at ICE Insuretech?
So I think the key thing from us, actually, we always talk about the brand being ICE, but the original company was called IT Freedom, and that was named on the premise of we want to empower the business, and so from day one we developed no code or very low code configuration tooling to allow our customers to build out their products, and most importantly, it's not just about delivering it, it's about maintaining it and involving it, and supporting existing policies, clients on maybe earlier versions of product variants, still while you're evolving our clients are evolving their products and their business. So there's a lot of complexity behind it all, but we try and simplify it from a tooling perspective, so the clients can see all of their different versions of their products, and how all of the different, I guess, insurance component configurations change over time. And there's a lot of reuse and embedded use of configuration, but it's all about trying to make our clients self-sufficient and deliver great experiences for their own internal staff, from the back office sort of user experience, and most importantly these days, certainly on the policy side and some of the claims, everyone has a digital experience, and potentially a lot of distribution via price comparison websites as well. So and that's all driven by configuration. So we're doing simple mobile phone insurance with minor data capture, through to all variants of motor, but your standard price comparison website, your a lot of non-standard and bespoke, through to small fleets and large fleets, plus home and commercial property, and a large number of other things as well. And it's all driven by configuration. It's key to have those configuration capabilities that make sense to the business. I think that's really key. So it's non-technical. They're doing the configuration in a language and format that with a week's training is second nature, and that allows our clients to deliver fast if they need to, and then to continue to evolve their products and strategies over time.
Yeah, it's just as you're talking, you speak to so many businesses, you've partnered with so many different types of insurers that are all have their own objectives and trying to achieve certain milestones within their timeline. Like, when I was listening to someone, I was kind of eavesdropping a little bit, but someone was talking about insurance, and and how they've no idea, I don't want to pick up the phone to deal with insurance. I don't even know how to set something up with an insurance or who to go to. It's still as ubiquitous as it is insurance. People are, the lack of education and knowledge and digitization for it is, there's still a huge gap. Like, is there anything that you spot with them when you're speaking to your clients? Like, is there a consistent theme of what they're trying to achieve? Is it all, do you think it always links back to the customer? Because I think my experience so far is that, and I'm only 5 months into insurance exclusively, is that still a lot of the time feels like it's about the insurance company when it should be more about the customer. Like, is there any kind of trends that you're seeing and from what your clients want from you guys and how to improve something or make something faster? What's the end result typically?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So I guess there are aspects of product evolution that might try and suit some customers more than others. From a digital perspective, a lot of we architected the platform, so a lot of our customers could build their own digital experience and connect through our open business API suite. And so they are fully in control of the quote, bind, and the ability to fully service policies. Going forward, we offer the full life cycle, so you can do midterm adjustments. You can do your renewals, and you can cancel if the client wants. So we offer all of that capability, and our clients, depending on their target products, demographics that they're going for, all have different focuses. I would say an interesting client that we've had in the last year, which was actually our fastest delivery that we've ever done, actually has a really innovative chatbot style digital experience. So it's very much about asking questions to the chatbot and understanding this is what your cover is. This is the change that you could make, and this is how much it costs. Do you want to go ahead and do that? So it's making it really interactive, which when you see it for the first time, it's quite natural. But when you've spent as long as I have on traditional, okay, first thing you need to do is enter all of your risk data, and then you get to the summary at the end, and then you can make some enhancements to it. It's a really interesting take on a good evolution. So we're definitely moving into that world where AI is having more and more impact in different areas of the journey, risk analysis, etc.
Interesting. And I mean, at the heart of the tech, as you kind of touched on, it's all, I mean, you were way ahead of the game in terms of developing low code, no code. Low code now has evolved so much, and particularly in the last couple of years, it's right up there with AI for me in terms of constant talking points, evolution of platforms and how businesses are now setting up. That for me, lots claim to be low code, no code, but I think lots aren't. But what does it mean to you, as a CTO that's been at the forefront of building a low code platform? What does it mean to you, and where do you think the gaps are in terms of low code? Because for me, when I speak with those that have a low code platform or clients, they still need a lot of developers, whereas their understanding is, we got this low code configuration platform, but we're still having to spend a lot of money on developers and it feels like there's an educational piece missing there.
Yeah, so I'm definitely not an expert on other people's products, but I would categorize low code, no code into generic low code, no code tooling and domain specific. And we are definitely in the domain specific. So all of the capability that you can deliver through our configuration is related to insurance. It's all a semantically understood flags, switches, drop downs, date parameterized data, that sort of thing, that all will be understood by our or client configuration experts to be able to be able to build their products. Whereas your more generic tooling, you've got that's a massive task to build in the insurance domain into that, as well as all of the specifics to do with the products and that's wanting to be sold. So that's a huge undertaking to do that. And yeah, we are very much focused on all we can do is insurance, and we want to do it really well. We want to be that core transacting, underwriting, billing platform where clients can decide what extensions they might want in their ecosystem. We have startup clients and we have tier one clients, and they've got different depths of their pockets to hook into different data sources, different tools. There's a lot of work that's been going on in Insuretech to do specialized products that can be hooked into a core platform. So our goal is to be that core platform and do it well, and not try and spread ourselves too thinly, I guess. So yeah, that low code, no code is about insurance only.
Nice. And okay, I think kind of moving on to something that you kind of touched on at the beginning, and I've mentioned around the scale of what you guys have achieved, which has been pretty incredible, going from 40 to 120 in some very turbulent years. The growth has not stopped, and almost seems like you guys have just really pushed on over, as I say, some very difficult times. And one thing that kind of rung true within our previous conversations was how, yes, highly complex, highly configurable, how multi-layered the platform is, and how you've built this engineering function and tech function, but also scaled an insurance business as well at the same time. That I think it's really insightful for those that are in regard at the same part of that journey, either startup or scale up. How you ensure alignment between the engineering team and the insurance side of the business to foster that, not just collaboration and speed of whatever it is, shipping or producing features, but also the understanding side of it. Like, what's been your secret in doing that and getting people up to speed? Yeah,
I mean, the obvious secret is the people, and the ability to have a team where one thing that's been really key for us in the expansion is we've moved from a team of maybe jack of all trade, master of none, which is because the domain is so huge. We now have got big enough where we can have teams focused on smaller domains, and those could be business domains or technical domains, and then have the people who can bring everything together. So we need to have people who can communicate well with our clients in their language, from a technical architect security perspective and from a business perspective. So we've done a lot of hiring of people from insurance businesses. So those people understand the role that some of our clients will be doing. It's really important. Claims is such a complex area. It takes a long time to learn it. So if you can get that knowledge from people who've actually done the job and know it inside out, that can help with the communication with the clients, and it can help improve our own product by people who say, this is what we need to make it better for our clients, and having that ability to translate business requirements into a product. We're all going to say the same thing, but it's all about the people. and then, as we said earlier, the hardest thing is keeping them interested, keeping them happy, and being competitive. Not easy in the world these days, but we seem to be doing a decent enough job.
Yeah, I was going to say you seem to be doing okay. I mean, I think that's an interesting insight because it kind of shows you what you need to be doing in terms of hiring throughout the journey. So, we talk about it a lot, how you hire at the early stages and then how you hire at the later stages. And I think you've kind of alluded to that perfectly, in the beginning, jack of all trades, master of none, people that just are missionaries, understand to a degree what you're building, but they're just good people.
Yeah.
And then later on in the journey, you kind of need that domain experience, that understanding of insurance as things get more complex to really take it to the next level. And that, wanted to ask around that when I'm asked of, Gavin, do you have any software engineers or do you have this and that when we're talking to a founder or a startup, that I always think that the domain experience within Insuretech is so crucial, whereas in other industries that I've worked in when I've been building out tech teams, it's not really the case. It's more about, do you understand this tech, and if you understand the tech, then you'll pick the domain up super quick. But it doesn't quite seem like that in insurance.
Yeah, I agree. So from our technical side, we are sort of famously saying, internally and externally, that when we're hiring on the developer side, we struggle to even consider getting domain experience. And as I alluded to earlier, we've changed our focus now to be more on raw capability, and as much technical exposure to relevant aspects of our platform that we can get, knowing that we're going to invest a lot in these people, so we know that they're not going to hit the ground running on day one, and we know we're not going to put them anywhere near in front of a client, because having delivered sort of 20 years of going through all of the client sort of initial deliveries and implementations, you can't teach that to someone. You need people to have seen a few years of it before we expose them. Whereas that's on the technical side. On the business analysis side and QA, then domain experience is pretty crucial for us. We don't really want to be, or we can have a mix. We want people who have strong analytical skills and strong tooling skills, but we need a mix of people who really know the domain, because the domain is so complex, and sometimes it can seem easy, but that's probably because you haven't thought through all of the permutations, and the permutations of the data modeling and the evolution of products and the evolution of policies that can change over time and how they can work differently. It's complicated, and it just takes a huge amount of effort to understand it. And that is actually why we've split our delivery teams into smaller domain areas. So we have teams now focused on smaller aspects of the product because and know them really well. So, and actually that does allow us to get people more productive quicker, rather than jumping around all over the place. Having the code base is big enough. We've got 500 source code repositories. There's huge. You have huge amounts of build and deployment capability to do 3,000 deployment plans that we had to build and deliver everything. You just can't expect people to understand all of these things on day one. It takes a lot of time to get there. So yeah, keep the focus small to start off with if you can. And if you're in a startup, you don't have that luxury. In my view, you just get the best people that you can. But when you're doing the startup, I think it is key. You obviously need the domain experience. You need insurance 100%, and then you go as good as you can on the technical side.
It's really interesting, and I'm conscious of your time here, but I think that key part at the end will be just really insightful for those that are looking to build that team out within an insurance business or Insuretech startup. And thank you for all your insights and takeaways, Al. It's been brilliant to have you on, and yeah,
You're welcome. It was great to talk to you.
Brilliant.